welcome back to the Chemist Confessions podcast. I'm Gloria.
And I'm Victoria.
We are two skincare chemists that like to just hop on here, have a little human conversation about all things skincare related.
Yep. And for this episode, you might be wondering, what is the theme? And today we are doing basically a rapid fire of, is it a gimmick or not? So that'll be fun for us to talk about trends and see if there's any science behind it.
Yeah, as we mentioned in our previous episode, we finally have our marketing assistant who's bringing a lot of Gen Z energy and actually opening our eye to the TickTock trends of today.
Boy, have our eyes been open, that's for sure. All right, guys. Well, we had some technical difficulties, but we're back and we're going to do our brand update. So starting off with this episode, actually, we have a pretty big update for you guys this time. Gloria, what exactly have we been up to this summer?
Damn, I was saving this question for you. Well, we've been working hard at a lot of exciting new projects, including some of our Gen 2 formulas.
Yeah, so excited.
But what we're trying to announce here is we partner with a biotech company based out in Boston called Revela, and what they specialize in is AI-powered molecule discovery.
Yeah, if we'd be lying if we told you we planned this. We just randomly had met one of the founders, Evan, during COVID when we were all trapped in our houses. And during that time, I don't think Gloria and I ever thought we would see this guy ever again.
Oh, yeah, we literally hung up the call, and I'm like, $10, he's never talking to us ever again.
Yeah. But lo and behold, 1 year later, he found us again. And the cool thing is Revela has really enjoyed not only our educational work, but just our formulation expertise. And so through that, we have decided to team up with them and honestly exercise a muscle that we don't get to use in Chemist Confessions, which is working with proprietary ingredients. So we're very excited about that piece.
Yeah, so Revela has, before Evan looped us in, they've already developed their molecule that's targeting hair loss, and they have launched that product.
Yeah.
And what they've been working really hard on is developing a molecule for skin, targeting all signs of aging. We have more about that molecule to share very, very soon. But what's really exciting to see is I think you will catch us going on rants on this podcast about how proprietary molecules often gets pushed out there and there's not a lot of data, or you see something cool in vitro, but how does that really translate in vivo?
Exactly.
Or what does that even mean in a formula? So what's really exciting for us is essentially we get to work really closely with Evan and his team on not just the discovery phase, but how do you really extract the most value out of this new molecule into a formula?
Right. And what that translates to is some really rigorous testing. So we got a lot on our plate. Be honest, this is not something that we take lightly. And so we definitely would not have come on board if we did not share the same values, that being having the evidence to substantiate that these molecules should in fact be used in our formulas. So if the good thing was, seeing the work that they had done with the hair molecule and the testing behind it, it was definitely intriguing. So this is where once they are now looking into new skin molecules, it definitely got us excited. So, yep, that's where we are. We've been, definitely Chemist Confessions is still our baby, but there is this new project on board, and we're really excited to kind of be able to share some of these learnings and kind of bring this other industry insider knowledge out there for you guys, just because this part is always very mysterious. So it's really exciting for us.
Yeah, so stay tuned for more news. I wish we can share right now, like, which biological pathway this molecule is targeting. What it's supposed to treat.
Yeah.
What's our benchmark in this project? There's a lot of details that we're still working on.
Yeah.
And we can't wait to share the findings with you guys in a few months. We'll be sharing more and more as we're able to. So stay tuned. And I definitely want to say that when we got connected, we checked out their tech, we checked out their molecule discovery process, we immediately put some requests in the wish bucket list to get to the platform. So hopefully we have more exciting news there as well.
Yeah. So stay tuned. You'll probably see us do a little bit of social platform shares just so we can show you their labs as well, and kind of give you that insight. But otherwise, let's get back into our Chemist Confession side with first talking about our stock issue.
Oh.
It's been a pretty brutal summer, guys.
Less exciting news, the blank slate is once again out of stock. We opened up last episode saying, haha, everything should be back in stock.
And then the next episode was like, guys, we're back here again.
Sorry.
But it's awesome.
Yes.
Though.
It's awesome that it's such a well-loved formula.
Yeah.
Honestly, we're learning so much through a lot of trial and error with the supply chain issues.
Yeah.
This should be absolutely the last piece of it. For the foreseeable future, but like it's everything should be healthily stocked for the next for forevermore. But it should be back early September, first week of September.
Yeah, so we'll have a release date as we get closer to that time period. So definitely look for that announcement. But otherwise, we've got a lot of really exciting things coming down the pipeline that we can't wait to talk about too. As Gloria hinted at, we've been working on some new formulas on top of some other formulas you might have forgotten about, like Mr. Reliable Gen 2. Okay, anyway, so yeah, lots to share in the next few episodes to come. But otherwise, I think it's time for some good words.
Yes.
Moving on.
The first one is about our Bon Voyage, which had its own issues with being out of stock, but we sorted that through and now it's in stock for everyone. The title is Helps the Tret Purge. And this reviewer says, I started with retinoid and this has helped so much. I use it as part of my skin cycling routine on my recovery nights. No more flakiness. It is so great for my lips too, which I struggle with because I live in a desert, which we do too. I was also really excited to find a certified vegan inclusive.
Nice. Yeah, I think that was everything we intended for Bon Voyage. We highlight this because she got creative, and on the box itself, you'll see we'll actually write "Get creative." Use it for those dry patches, whether it's lips, cracked hands, fingers, whatnot, elbows. So that's great, and she knew exactly how to use it with her tretinoin journey. So we're happy we could be there. So hooray!
Yay!
All right, next one. So next one features our double play. The title is Really Nice. And she writes, I'm so happy with this treatment. I bought it specifically for my eye area, so I can't speak about it for the face, but the performance is so good as an eye cream. I imagine it's amazing for that as well. I have super sensitive eyes. I have to take allergy eye drops day and night, and this hasn't bothered them at all.
I'm really, really happy to hear that. Double play, we specifically tested for the eye area. That was one of our first tests that we did with a derm, which is to make sure that, even though it has an effective dose of retinol at 0.3%, that it's still gentle enough for the very sensitive parts of skin. And
yeah, that's awesome. So thanks for the nice words. Keep them coming. We're always proud of them because we don't pay for them. So they're all honest feedback, and we learn and we read every one of them. So, all right. Short and sweet.
Yes, but before we get in the news, I just realized we haven't told everyone what we're drinking today.
Yes. We're a bit out of order today. But you want to ask me?
Yeah. So what are we drinking today? Why is this so bad today?
Yes,
Go.
So you're hearing the clinking of ice, which is probably not what we should have done. Today I have decided to mix grapefruit with a little bit of gin, some lemon juice, and pineapple seltzer. And then it turned out to be a little too sour, so then I added a sweetener called Orgeat.
Bless you.
My significant other, my husband, is very into bartending. I know, hard term to say still, but he's very into bartending, and he now is getting into various types of syrups.
That's the flavor of the month is syrups.
Yep.
Nice.
Syrups. We're going to move into fermented alcohol soon, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely don't learn from him in our concoctions. We still have nights where it's Gatorade and hard liquor.
100%.
Yeah.
That's not a lie. He does not drink with us those nights. All right, so on to the news.
In the news.
All right. Gotta be honest, guys, it's summer. It's a slow week for news.
Fun fact for those of you who don't work with Europeans. Around this time of year, everybody, I mean, it feels like the entire continent goes on summer vacation.
It's so true. And so with that, we're going to keep this short and sweet, but it's so slow that we now have another mid-year emerging trends list that I thought I would share. And I figure we'd just check in. Also, I think this is very on theme for today's episode, but also just to check in with where we are on trends as we're already past the half-year mark. Way past, actually. So, first trend that they have is inclusivity. Yeah.
Cool. That's a cool trend.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's a trend, as this is something that has been pushed for a few years now. I'm sure you all are noticing that wider and wider shades for foundation. On top of that, inclusivity in marketing, in skin types and testing. That's all being demanded. It's a great thing, and there's more work to be done, but something that we're going to continue to further and further look at, and something that more consumers are asking for. So
yeah, it's always good to see more data come out, because obviously we do a lot of research and we present the study findings to you guys, and a lot of times it's hard for us to speak on certain topics, especially when it comes to different skin types and skin tones, because there isn't as much for us to go off on.
Exactly. And I mean, it's true that we definitely get the question of, for darker skin tones, is there a difference in the effects? And definitely for skin concerns like pigmentation, that is definitely a valid concern. So yeah, all good things for sure. The second one is getting personal.
Yeah, whatever. Next.
I don't know how many times. I think this will just continue. If you have this on your bingo card year after year, you will win, because it will never go away.
Honestly, it was on everyone's trend list from when we were still corporate chemists.
That's how we bonded.
Yeah, bitching about it.
Because we both had to work on it.
Yeah, we both had projects that's somewhere in that realm.
Yeah.
And what it means if you guys have listened to us before, you'll know we go on these rants very regularly. But with personalized skincare, it's a nice idea. But a lot of times it starts with maybe a diagnostic or maybe just a skincare quiz. And then a lot of brands will now say things like, I'm compounding this just for your skin. But the reality is, based on a quiz or based on a couple of results, it's really hard to say how does that translate to a formula. So this personalization, they tend to be just a little on the gimmicky side.
Yep, totally agree. Next thing is beauty in the box, and what they mean by that is just more focused around sustainability, reduction of packaging, reduction of a brand's footprint on the environment, and I think we all know this. Please refer back to the episode 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, in episode 7, we try really hard to inject a lot of fun into a very dry topic. It's a lot, and I think it's definitely all moving, hopefully going towards a meaningful and good direction. But inherently, when we are still new, and by new, I mean, honestly, the work has been done for past 10, 15, 20 years, but we are still learning so much about ultimately, like, what is an actionable item that's going to be a net positive effect, because there's always a trade-off. It's always a little bit more complicated than some people might lead you to believe, but the good thing is, with this much attention on it, we will see a lot more meaningful initiatives.
Yep, for sure. The next one is the biotech boom. So on top of the whole ingestible trends, that's also gearing towards they've been noticing a lot of lingo around biotechs, and yeah, just general marketing around that story?
Yeah, we think it's great. Of course, we will stay vigilant to all the biotech trends because, I mean, the two of us have spoken so much on faux science that's come out. People are understanding now that ingredient science is important to consumers, that people want to know that real science has been done. But it isn't that difficult to just enter the field and call yourself a biotech. So
100%.
We definitely are looking forward to see what kind of brands come out in this space. I think way back in the day, I think we talked about this, where skincare can sometimes be a tech recycling ground. So when I was in college, they talked about like, ooh, buckyballs. Buckyballs are really cool. It's like has all these potentials. It's like a carbon ball, so it has so much like drug delivery application, whatever. And also aerogel, lightest material known to man, but so strong. Oh my god, so strong. Bam! Found it in skincare 5 years later.
Yeah, I can definitely tell you I hate aerogel. So do not make me work with it.
Spider silk too. At that time, it's like, oh, promising, like
so strong.
So strong. What can we do in the textile industry? Bam! It's in skincare.
Yeah. So there's biotech and there's biotech. So again, while it's nice to see that people are trying to be more vigilant on the data science side, the tech side, it just, again, y'all know, it's marketing. So, all right. So, and then the last one, which the whole purpose of this was to share this with Gloria, is called Science in Style. And basically, is that us? Are we stylish?
We're so stylish.
All right, so this one is talking about traditional medicine, such as Ayurveda, Campo, traditional Chinese medicine, and how that's starting to integrate into scientific research for bioactive natural products and traditional medicines. Now, we definitely have some feels about this, but the reason why I brought it up is because I can totally see this. We're going to start cycling into the exotic extracts found on some mountain, used in some, faraway village for thousands of years, and into your skincare it goes. So it almost feels like we're slowly heading towards where we started.
The recycling point?
Yeah.
So, first of all, I have a question.
Yes.
Wait, why the heck is this section called Science in Style?
Again, slow summer, guys.
Is TCM Science in Style? Anyway, I have a lot of problems with the caption. It's so dumb, but
I kind of feel like it is though, because like the way guasha is coming, acupuncture, these trends, like it kind of is the new style.
Also, this sounds really hokey, but I feel like this whole guasha thing, it's like very, very like philosophical, but it's kind of like a weird like Tai Chi Korean whatever thing that's happening. Because I honestly felt like it became a trend in the US before it became a trend in Asia.
True.
Because guasha is like traditionally associated, you go in there with back pain, and they take a stick and then not actually a stick, but like the guasha.
Aside from the guasha, they'll use sticks.
Yeah, and they do their thing, put their back into it, methodically sometimes less so, but anyway, and you see those like angry red marks, kind of like
cupping.
Yeah, kind of like cupping, right? Like you do these things that's supposed
to be no gain.
Yeah, therapeutic but leaves a mark kind of thing. So that's always like how I thought about guasha. So you go in there with a fever, or you go in there with back pain, do the same thing. And it wasn't, to me growing up, it wasn't really associated with beauty. Like maybe it was used in that sense. I was just too young to notice, but it wasn't trendy. It was like something like it's like your grandma's remedy type of thing. And then,
but then they made it,
cool.
The jade.
Yeah, it's the jade, the energy.
Jade rollers.
Yeah, and it's like they made it a thing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you see it back in Asia, too. And I'm like, that was not trendy. It wasn't like a well-kept like secret that people have been doing. It was kind of funny to me.
So, again, I bring this up more also because, like, it's on one side good because there are, but this is where we're like botanicals can be relevant because there is like historical data, though questionable on like I would say quality of data, but there is something to be said about that history sometimes. So it is kind of cool to be able to bring, to be able to look into these like historical ingredients. But at the same time, I'm like, man, I'm just waiting for that like only grows once every blue moon and put into your serum again.
It's gonna get there, and I think what bothers me the most, like we ourselves when we formulate our products, it's with the belief that the best products need to balance the best of the botanical world and the synthetics. But I think what's difficult is like exactly as Victoria said. It's just so hard to discern between the foo-foo extract versus ones with data. So it's gonna turn into a war of the story. So we'll see where it goes, and we'll let you guys know.
Probably gonna be a podcast episode soon. All right, cool. While on this trend, I did want to share an article that I thought was done really well by Elle. The title of it is kind of interesting. They talk about how plastic as a sustainable solution for beauty. And they definitely write it very well. We'll share the link. But they basically, it's kind of what we were talking about previously with how there's no true solution for sustainable materials in beauty. And they talk about how water consumption to create plastic, the recyclability of plastic versus other materials. And the other thing that they talk about is what we've been trying to say is that you need your packaging to be robust. Not only robust on the fill line, you need it to be robust to endure its shelf life. So I just wanted to share that in this article here because, I think it's when people hear like, virgin, all plastic, it sounds like these people hate the planet, but it is the state of kind of the infrastructure of our recycling right now, and how do we find solutions to, I guess, mitigate those challenges.
I think that's such a good point, and something we highlighted 2 episodes ago is it's a multifaceted problem, right? Glass sounds nice and it's traditionally associated with better sustainability, but it's really heavy, so you are creating a lot more carbon footprint when we are when in transport. So how does it all balance out? It's a big problem. It's not really up to any one person to solve it. The industry have to work as a collective to solve it. I think another area that's not beauty related but I always find interesting is food, in the food container and Tupperware. People have turned to the brown paper packaging that looks really nice, but because it has to put up food grease, there's always a plastic lining on the inside or like a different coating to make it usable for food. And then what?
Yeah, exactly. One of the things we have to say is like the good thing with this industry is that I almost want to say with the consumer awareness, there's a much stronger initiative to change and find better solutions, whereas in the food industry, it just seems like this awkward thing that no one can figure out, especially with, the volume, the supply chain, the material. So anyways, it just, as much as we feel like, it's never better, it's like at least there is work being done, and we're just slowly, step by step, we'll get there, hopefully. All right, cool. So moving on, I have one more piece of article to share. This isn't so much beauty, maybe, but oral care is actually pretty important in terms of aging. The reason being is that your general jawline and your dental.
Well, we did a post a long time ago. Pictures are terrifying.
Yeah. Well, it basically is the longer you can keep your dental up, the better your aging will be, because that is an integral part to your face structure.
I have recently developed the habit of feeling the muscles on my face. I'm like,
grinding.
Are you yeah, I grind. I'm a grinder.
Me too.
So then there are days I'm like, you're gonna crap out on me one day. Are you just gonna die on me or just explode?
What too is I'm not even a grinder. I'm a chomper. Yeah, so Adam will tell me that he can hear teeth just going like this.
He hears it, and then he put a ring on it. Damn, that is so true.
He sleeps with noise cancellation.
Like, if it's me, I'm just gonna.
I'm surprised you haven't heard it.
Actually, yeah, I haven't, but I have found your trail of contact.
Okay, anyway, so,
yes.
But yeah, so with that, just want to share that Colgate Palmolive, they have filed a patent for an at-home AI oral health device.
That man's teeth is ridiculously sparkling.
We'll show the article here. And through that, what they plan is to basically help monitor your and map out your oral and your teeth health, basically. So I think recently in the news, we all heard that Amazon just purchased iRobot Roomba, and now everyone's panicking that now Amazon actually knows the maps of our house, which they have probably already known a little bit.
Or they've been
for a long time.
Yeah.
But now Colgate Palmolive might know the maps of our mouth.
I don't like it. Wait,
but for your good, but for your health, Gloria.
Well, I wouldn't really know how they would use data of your oral cavity for evil anyway. Wait, but is it like an imaging software?
I think it's both. Yeah, it is for imaging, and almost wants it to be like a diagnostic device that probably could be paired with, dental offices, and just general, more umbrella, overarching care. Yeah, so with that, it'll be interesting to see what that actually pans out to be. But when I read this, I was kind of like, oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense, but also feels very intrusive.
You know what? Colgate, if you need marketing advice or if you need someone to, bounce ideas off of, reach out to us, because I can't imagine what that consumer education and education and compliance would be like, because I think they're using a lot of lingo like, real-time changes. Who's gonna stop by lunch, right? BRB, mapping out my oral cavity. How often are people supposed to use this? And
also, at what point does the lingo get passive-aggressive and annoying? I'm like, did you floss today? I don't know if you flossed today.
Yeah, I saw them the big.
Yeah, so
because the oral care world is really missing something patronizing.
Yeah, so anyways, just want to talk about, we definitely seen AI in skincare, and now there's actually, this concept is not necessarily new, but big data is always a hot topic, and that seems to be moving into other things like toothbrushes and your oral care.
So I was just thinking, while you're talking, I was like, how would they execute it? Because I think to convince people to lengthen their oral care timeline is kind of asking for a little bit, because I would assume you need to take pictures from a few different angles. So I was like, whoa, what if it's a wall mount device and you just go, you just bite out and it goes, scans.
Only you would come up with that idea.
Hello, I would like to be added to the pack.
You know the tonal app, the tonal wall thing? So instead they have a mouthpiece that comes out and you just bite down.
Yeah, when you're done with your workout, a gate opens and the device comes out and you just bite down on it.
It's too much. It's too much. I guess it's jaw strengthening as well.
Yes! Oh my god, a face
Perfect
gym
hand.
and scanning all in one.
We got
you. Oh my god.
And people have stopped listening. All right, so anyways, it's been a slow news week, but this does actually help bring us into the meat, which we're very excited about. So we're going to be playing this game today and it's basically very simple. Is it a gimmick? And Gloria and I have signs. These are all upside down. Gloria and I have signs, and we're going to say the topic. And then on the count of 3, Gloria and I will both say and hold up how we feel about it. All right. So I gotta also remember which one is which. All right. So the first topic is acne patches. All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, legit. Yeah, and I think the follow-up question that Ava so kindly asked is, are they all created equal?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
And I think Acne Patch, the thing to remember is, like, I almost held up both of them because it kind of depends on what you expect from them. Because ultimately, they kind of shield you from outside aggression. Well, it could be aggression if you're an active picker. So it kind of acts as a shield. Some do have components that's supposed to kind of dry out skin a little bit, help suck up that pus if it's a very active, angry, inflamed acne. But it's not something that will replace other topicals for long-term acne care.
Yeah. You also hear about patches that talk about this kind of like microneedle component, where it's like minute deliveries of like salicylic acid or some sort of topical ingredient. And that's where it gets very tough because, you know, that material, the amount of topical, I think for me personally, I wouldn't necessarily make that a priority. You're really just using the hydrocolloidal patch more as, you know, protection from people like myself who might touch my face, and especially touch it more when acne is on my face. And then, oral absorption. Yeah. Cool. So just to follow that, in terms of gimmick, the next one is toothpaste for acne a gimmick? All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, it is a gimmick. I think people, it's one of those trends before TickTock. We probably heard about it through YouTube.
I feel like a grandma for saying
I
this, but
know.
I'm like, kids are still using toothpaste back in my day.
Yeah, toothpaste, baking soda, those go hand in hand.
You know what's funny is I've always shared that I have dry skin. I don't really get acne. I had the occasional couple growing up. And what's interesting is I complained to one of my friends with a lot of acne back in school. It's like when I have the occasional one angry acne, I don't know what to do with it. So then I actually have done all of those things because I don't get it. I don't get it regularly enough to get like a salicylic acid face wash or acne treatment because those will dry out my face too long term. But if I have one really big angry one, I will grab that toothpaste. I've done the whole crushed aspirin thing where I'm like, does it help? Yeah, it didn't. And I was like, okay.
Guys.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, there might be a component of it where it does help mildly with oil absorption. We'll say, yeah, this is a gimmick. It's not going to be the thing that quickly erases, your acne lesion. So let's let that die. All right, I think this one's a good one. Next one is tea tree oil. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, legit. So, and I would say legit-ish.
Yeah, I was like.
Yeah, so there actually are a few studies on tea tree oil. I think the issue here is tea tree oil pure is very strong. It actually can cause burns so you'll often find it diluted, or they'll recommend you to dilute it. So you'll find anywhere between I think the highest amount you want to go for is 10%. But there is some data on how it can serve as an antibacterial, and so that it is something that's worth a try. But again, these are all things that are like nothing would ever replace your actual acne heavy hitters like BPO and adapalene. All right, cool. And I think this one is because Gloria loves this one. This is those mysterious clays that you see on TikTok where can they actually erase your pores and make them less visible? Yeah. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1.
I love those commercials. I always finish watching them.
Yeah, we're going to show a video of that happening.
Oh my god, they're hilarious.
They're also so bossy.
Yeah, they're clearly not based in the country.
Yeah.
But I think they're hilarious, and because I always finish watching them, they keep serving the same ads to me. And it's like, essentially, it's almost like when you Photoshop an image and you have a brush over it, that's exactly what it does. Yeah. They'll show a clay mask or something, and then they wipe it off. Yeah. And then at the same time, it's like, skin went from peppery to smooth.
It's amazing because you'll see the texture of skin, and all of a sudden there's zero texture in skin.
Yeah, someone found a filter button between before and after, and that's exactly what it looks like. And I think they're hilarious because, like, a part of me is like, people don't fall for that, right?
But you know, when you get desperate enough, I feel like they'll be like, okay, I'm not gonna get that, but maybe I'll get
somewhere in between that.
that.
I get that. So I think pores is also a notoriously difficult problem in skincare. We've never dedicated a whole meat of the podcast to this because there isn't a ton of great, fantastic news.
Let us know if you want to hear a rant about your pores.
Yeah. So there's things you can do to minimize the appearance thereof and to make sure that you're taking care of skin to the best of your ability, but nothing is going to erase pores per se. And when you're talking about clinically proven to shrink pore size or shrink the appearance of pores, it's they'll talk about 20% reduction. But from a visibility standpoint, it's not going to go from, oh, I have more pores than I want to no pores at all. So it's unfortunately just one of those issues where you can do your best, but it's not going to get to, you know, the polished egg skin type of look.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too is, like, especially with blackheads, they are so stubborn that a lot of times we have to suggest using both chemical and mechanical exfoliation, and it's not something that's gonna just be gone overnight. It's something that it's kind of just this it takes a lot of diligence and also a balance, because if you over exfoliate, then that only makes your situation worse.
I have dry skin, but I'm very prone to blackheads. I got to a point where I don't really care anymore.
But this is only me.
Yeah. So, and I'm pretty minimalistic in my skincare, but if I'm like in a mood of getting rid of my blackhead, it's like a 12-step routine. You like warm the skin, you dehydrate it with a clay mask, you use a chemical exfoliant, you let that soak in, and then you take it off, and then you scrub it. It's a whole thing.
Gloria, did you ever use nose strips?
I have. They don't work.
They also can, like, really take skin off.
Yeah.
That happened before.
I've used one where it's not like, it doesn't come in a strip, it's like a gel form. It's like I don't know if you remember that video that went viral of someone that used a peel-off mask.
The black
and the lady starts like screaming
bloody murder.
It literally peeled it up, like, ah! I've used that for my nose. It wasn't that bad. Not as bad as that lady had it. But it's like, it took out more skin than blackhead. So it made the blackheads look even angrier.
No.
Yeah. It's like now it's like 3D blackhead rather than 2D. Because everything else is gone. But yeah, it's a whole thing. And after a while, I'm like, you know what? I do my best. I already like exfoliate enough, and I think I do decently for the rest of my skin. Tinted sunscreen will do the job.
Actually, that's a good point.
Oh, sorry. One more thing is, like, I mentioned the 3D blackheads. That's the only thing that I care about really getting rid of now, because, like, even then, if you want to cover it up, if you have that blackhead texture, it will show up. Yeah. The powder will gather around it. Yeah. So that's the only thing I when it comes to exfoliating and stuff, I prioritize not drying out skin. But as long as there isn't like a mushroom patch, and I'm okay.
Also, fun fact, in Vizia and clinical testing, they actually have a light setting that can basically highlight your blackhead.
I don't like it.
And it's really unsettling.
It's so
It makes you feel like you should scrub your face off.
So those of you looking at sunscreen, you're probably like, what are you talking about? Your skin looks pretty good. Yeah, well, it's because there isn't a Vizia type light on it. I still remember when we worked at L'Oreal, and they walk through a lot of the clinical equipment that people have to measure skin, and they let you experience it. And like, I pop my head in the Vizia. It's like a control lighting thing, and there's a lot of different settings. And a very basic one looks at UV damage, kind of like under the skin, so pigmentation you can't see with the visible eye. Yeah. She literally turned on that filter and went, whoa.
Jeez, keep it in, woman. I mean, you guys guys will see it when we do the sunscreener. You'll see that suddenly you'll see all the underneath spots. Pigmentation. Not nice. And then the worst part about the blackhead part is that the blackhead lighting,
they glow.
It's neon. So it's like extra annoying. But anyways, all right, we've digressed. Going back to, is it a gimmick? We're going to move on from acne. And the next one we want to know is anti-pollution skincare. I think this one's like might need more context, but all right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah. Gimmick. I have both, maybe?
Yeah, I kind of have legit in the background.
Yeah, and to explain, it's because the skincare itself, anyone that, for the most part, those that use it as a marketing claim, no real testing behind any of that. But pollution's impact on skin is a real thing. You want to go into that, Gloria?
Yeah, so I think in our early days we did a few posts and maybe a podcast about this. Excuse me. But there are actually a lot of interesting studies that measure the impact of pollution. It goes from big population studies where they go to people who live in big cities, kind of compare how their skin ages versus people in the countryside. And then there's more control studies where you expose your skin to a heavy dose of pollutants, such as sticking your arm in a chamber full of cigarette smoke. I don't know who's smoking in there. It might be digital, but to see how it affects skin. And time and time,
like an old lady, like, all right, what do you need?
It's like, I got a 4-pack today. That's all. I'm pretty sure they just light it up and let it go, but.
That would be funny. You gotta listen to this old woman.
You just sit there, all right, honey. She gets paid to smoke a 12-pack every day. That's messed up. Anyway, so in these like chambers, you get exposed to a higher dose than you normally would. But it's a good way to kind of see in this accelerated setting what it does for skin. And time again, it doesn't matter the study type, it showed that pollutants of all types accelerate skin aging. And the first signs that you'll see is typically pigmentation. If they do biopsies, they can sometimes show that collagen degradation might be an issue as well, which insinuates that it does cause aging. Now on the product side, they're like, oh wow, no, that's really bad. I think people should wash their faces and wear sunscreen.
I mean, to be fair, there are a few ingredients out there that actually have been looked at for this, but actually translating that into testing, like kind of Gloria was saying, it's very creative. There's no like real standardized way of doing this because ultimately it's a chronic issue. It takes a much longer time frame to really establish. And also because we know that pigmentation can be caused by other issues, it's really hard to say like, oh yes, this is strictly from an anti-pollution angle. So it's again one of those claims in skincare where you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, there are ingredients out there. What they claim is it kind of acts as a simple like shield on your skin that prevents permeation of pollutant particles. But then, you don't really see that. I don't think any brand is really going to those lengths to prove that. On top of that, that's why they're like, well, sunscreen acts like a film, right? So that totally works. And if you wash your skin of these pollutants, then that should work. And in some ways that is true. But yeah, so again, kind of one of those things where you're like, Yeah. So wash your face and wear sunscreen.
Yeah. All right. Next one. So this one is blue light protection skincare. All right. 3, 2, 1. Gimmick.
This one actually really annoys me.
Yeah, there's no legit to follow up with. None of that for Gloria. It's like hard gimmick.
Yeah. I get really annoyed with this one because some people get like a whole kick out of it. Like their whole brand is, I don't know.
I think during COVID was its biggest spotlight because everyone spent so much time at home, and instead of the sun being a major issue, it was about your computer screens. And it's very important to know that amount is so minimal and so insignificant in comparison to the blue light you may actually be getting from the sun. So in that sense, we're like, that just don't even pay any mind.
Yeah, in a recent episode, we talked about the UV Milk, the new sunscreen from La Roche-Posay that covers all the way up to the edge of the visible light spectrum. So to us, that's kind of interesting. And there are like studies that kind of show these like more energy intensive visible light, such as blue light, does cause skin damage. But as Victoria said, you get it more from just day-to-day living life than from your screens.
Yeah.
So the source and how much your screen damage your skin is a little overblown. And then secondly is like the how, right? Because in terms of filtering out UV light, the most direct way is anything tinted, anything makeup. Those things do kind of block some of that out. Yeah, and then in terms of other positioning against blue light, some people will just turn to good old antioxidants. So it's kind of like the anti-pollution thing. It's like, well, wash your face, wear sunscreen, and moisturize your skin, and you should be fine. And I think...
But I believe in the pollution part impact much more than blue light.
Yes, absolutely. And then another thing is I think brands just like, they overstate what kind of... Because blue light protection isn't something that anyone is really measuring, like how much are you being exposed to, but it's not like a sunscreen test where you have a source of blue light and you measure how much you block out. They don't do that. We got a tip with a brand one single blue moon way back in the day where we kind of went
they weren't too happy.
Hey, your blue light protection claim is... We just made a whole thing about blue light, about how that claim isn't super valid. He got very mad, said that how can you slander our products? It's very well tested, yada yada yada. We're like, okay, show us the data.
Show us how you tested it.
Yeah, I mean, we're here to learn too. We're more than happy to issue a correction and even do a whole promo on your methodology if you want to share with us. Crickets after that.
The thing is, like, and that's a really good point, and kind of the issue with, anti-pollution is, like, there's no standardized method because there's no good understanding of blue light and how it would be measurable in terms of impact on skin. And that's why, like, we've asked those questions too in terms of asking third-party clinics, like, how can a brand even be able to make that claim? And it's flexible. So I don't know how else to like nicely put it.
It's like my fig tree that's up there. It's very bendy.
Picture a fig tree here. Yeah, so this is definitely one of those where we just wouldn't look at. I will say, I am just so amazed. Sometimes I'm like, I want to defend users in this industry because I'm like, they literally went from eye care, blue light protection to skincare, and I'm like, man, that's just preying upon like other trends and trying to like make a quick buck, and it irks me to no end.
We should get a Shane Bell or something. Anyway.
Anyway, so we're moving on. All right, next one. DIY skincare. All right. 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! Yeah, we think it's a gimmick.
The end.
A lot. Most of it.
For the most part, yeah. I think it definitely ranges from harmless, fun things you can do at home to holy crap, please don't do that.
Yep. I think when Gloria is saying harmless, that these are things that usually involve honey, because honey can be seen as a humectant, and they usually mix it with oats or some sort of milk, and we'll just say make it fresh, use it once, move on.
Yeah. don't reuse, recycle.
Yeah.
Make a cookie while you're waiting for it.
Yeah. Put it in a smoothie. So those are, we would say, generally harmless. There is one DIY.
I was just going to say, that's such a good point. I think sometimes I don't really care about DIY stuff, but I also didn't see the harm in it until I realized some people are storing it in a jar.
Yeah.
And
our jobs, one of the big part of our job is to make sure nothing grows in your formulas, and I'm sure you all know that things love to grow in food. So, yeah. All right. So there's that. The other thing I will say is this is not skin. So that's why I still think, in skin it's gimmick. But coconut oil in hair is very helpful. The molecule and structure itself does very well for that sort of hydration and nourishment. So that would be the one thing, if I wanted to put an asterisk to this category, is that.
I can't do it. You know why?
You smell like coconut shrimp.
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta go to Bahama Breeze.
It's so true. It's such a signature scent. Okay, but there is one DIY that we will absolutely bash, and Gloria herself has witnessed it firsthand. Gloria?
If you sell a homemade sunscreen, F you. I'm sorry. But no, you see a lot of recipes online, and you can find peddlers of it at farmers market or like handcraft shops. DIY sunscreen is an absolute no-go. And we have met people that's like, oh, you're a skincare chemist. Isn't that just like adding zinc to lotion?
And putting it in a blender?
It is not. Don't do that. And you're 99% guaranteeing that you're not getting the protection you think you're getting. Yeah. If you're storing it, a lot of recipes online just blend zinc oxide into some sort of oil you can buy. Yep. Even if it turns out to be kind of like a balmy type of texture, zinc oxide is very heavy. It can settle in your formula over time. So even if it's well blended, by the time you by the time you put it on your skin, what level of that zinc oxide that is, who knows? Yeah. Not to mention, in actual formulas that you buy on the market, there's other things that help it glide into an even film. When you're blending with a kitchen blender in just like coconut oil or whatever, it's very unlikely that it's going to sit on your skin in even film.
But Gloria, I can just simply shake it out very vigorously and it will be uniform, right? No, please don't do that.
Please
but
don't
anyway.
do that. Please don't do that. Your arm does not go as fast as something that's electric powered.
I'm sorry, when you say your arm.
If it is, vibrators will be out of business. So let's keep moving along, shall we?
You said it. I was thinking it, but I'm like.
I was like thinking about this motion. I was like, just a lot of things. It needs to be battery powered.
All right.
But
anyways.
Yes. Anyway, it's not a good idea. Some skin cancer is no joke. Some protection is very serious. So definitely don't go that route.
Yep.
All right. Welcome to the claims corner. Today will be a little different. It will be a little bit more serious than our typical claims corner, like making fun of ridiculous claim things. We are going to talk about the very viral, the fan favorite A313 French retinoid. So before we get into it, just a really quick recap. Retinoid is the umbrella term for a lot of vitamin A based ingredients. So it's a whole family of ingredients. It is the generic term. It doesn't refer to any specific molecule. Names like retinol, adapalene, now those refer to actual molecules in the retinoid family. So A313 uses retinal palm. If you have
what? Retinal palm?
Retinal palm thing. They call it.
Nothing I would hear about that molecule for a while.
It is. They call it a French retinoid ester. Yes, it is an ester form of retinol. If you've read read our books, Think You're Decoded, if you have heard us talk about it, we don't like that one.
No.
We call it the just put it in the trash kind of retinol. That's where it belongs.
Wait, we can explain. Because, your retinoid receptor, there is basically retinoic acid. Tretinoin is the direct molecule that interacts with that receptor. And then retinol, I should start with retinaldehyde is the next derivative down that would be converted to retinoic acid. The second one out is retinol. And then the dormant part would be retinol palm. That's the storage form of this retinoic acid. And that's why we hate on it.
Yeah, so in terms of efficacy, it's thought of as below both retinol and retinal, and of course the original tretinoin. So why is it so popular? Let's go through the claims and let's go through a couple studies on retinol palm. We should say that like any vitamin A type products out there, the big issue is always stability. So retinol palm is both far removed from your retinoic acid receptor. and it's not very stable. So that's for those reasons we have to. I'm gonna sit out on giving retinal palm an offer. Yeah, it's just one of those kind of whatever kind of retinoid. But of course, as technology advanced, there are different ways to stabilize it. Mm-hmm. So what A313 is claiming that uses macrogel technology that essentially softcore encapsulates the retinal, the retinal palm, and make sure that it's stable. Now, macrogel technologies in general is a pretty hot topic in the retinoid world. It's applied to all other retinoids. Yep. It's applied to retinoic acid as well as tazarotene and other type of retinoids, and it has made a pretty big difference in terms of how stable it can remain. Not to mention, A313 does put it in an aluminum tube that is usually pretty airtight. Even though it has a kind of a big nozzle, it does help with stability still. Here's where we kind of have minor issues with this product. It claims to have 200,000 UI, which at first I was like, what is an UI? Do you mean IU, which is an international unit? Sometimes you'll see IU on your supplements because it's kind of a supplemental term. Basically, 1 IU is what is considered effective in skin to make it, or in body to make a difference. It's not really used topically. So for them to say, oh, it is 200,000 IU, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing UI is just French for IU because I'm guessing, please don't kill me, French people. It's like, so what that translates to for you is, I looked it up and
she did the math.
I did the math. 1 IU for vitamin A is 0.3 micrograms. So 200,000 translates to 0.06 grams total in this tube. And it's 50 grams of formula per tube, so that translates to 0.12% of retinal palm. That is not super duper impressive because we always talk about how retinol, which is closer to the receptor than retinal palm, the effective levels being about 0.3 to 1. Mm-hmm. Retinol is effective at 0.1 as well. You can get it at lower doses. If it's a stable format, it will still work. But to have retinal palmate at only 0.12 is a little concern. Of course, like the claim superior stability, maybe that makes a difference, but it is still pretty low. So we thought we would just go through some studies on active retinal palmate to see, well, does it do anything for skin? Mm-hmm. A lot of studies on retinal palm is pretty old, actually.
Yeah, it's not a new ingredient at all.
Yeah.
Unless this French retinal palm is some sort of modified retinal palm that's unfamiliar to us, but we're just going to review retinal palm as we know it and what the data says.
Yeah, so this is part of the reason why we wrote up retinal palm so soon, because they've looked at it all the way back in the 70s, in the 80s, and then they're like, meh, so history had wrote it off, so yeah. I found this paper from 1988, and it looked at topical administrations of increasing doses between 0.1% to 5%.
That's a lot.
Again, in skincare, we usually talk about percent weight. We don't use, like, international units. Okay, anyway.
Not salty.
No, not salty. They made me do the math.
You're right. That's fair.
Yeah. They, for 14 days, which is a really short time. It's in a suitable cosmetic vehicle, whatever that really means. And they noticed significant dose-related changes to skin composition. I think this is really important because a lot of people will argue like, oh, even though it's low because of XYZ reasons, it's still relevant. Yep. Or they will be like, oh, percentages don't really matter. With ingredients of retinol, it is dose dependent, so it absolutely does matter. They kind of looked at the data because it's only 14 days. You're not going to get data on wrinkle reduction or anything like that. They looked at the biopsy data and saw 32% increase of protein per unit and a maximum of 128% increase of collagen per unit of skin surface area.
Interesting.
Sounds promising. Again, remember that this goes all the way up to 5%, and this is an animal study. Yes.
There it is.
So again, it's kind of early promises that maybe it does do something, but but it does imply that you need much higher levels. I couldn't find a study that's done in the same kind of protocol with retinol, so it's hard to make a direct comparison to what this model means. And then I found one more study, and I want to add that in terms of if you just Google really randomly retinal studies versus retinal palmate studies, you'll find about a gazillion retinal studies and probably only a handful of decent retinal palmate studies. So again, we're talking about a huge gap in data here. I found one more that is done on humans from 1993. It is a randomized comparative double-blind study of topical administration of 2 different formulations of retinal palmate.
Okay.
2 different formulations at 2% for 3 months. It has the study has 20 females, so not a super big study, but enough for us to infer something. And they saw a significant increase in skin thickness and better elasticity, as well as good in-person and self-evaluation of improvement. The conclusion was basically this formulation with 2% retinal palm is effective. And again, it doesn't really compare to other retinoids. So I guess what we're trying to highlight here with these 2 studies is, in terms of sheer amount of data available, retinol or prescription retinoid such as tretinoin is still the gold standard here. It's still the way to go. If you're curious about this product because there's so many people talking about how it changed your life, it is the best retinol ever or retinoid ever out there, if you have experience with other retinoids and you know how to use them and your skin is comfortable with it, I wouldn't say this is something that's really worth exploring. Just stay on course with what you already use. For people who are really sensitized by retinol and want to try to get some benefits from it, it doesn't hurt to try it. I will say the 0.12%, and I couldn't find actual clinical data done by this company on this formula. So I'm kind of like, okay, all the studies out there said 2%, but you're 0.12. Okay.
I think also I just want to share that, like, this is obviously U.S. side looking into French pharmacies, and the way they purchase skincare is incredibly different than here in some ways. And so I think, like, if you were to just look at the tube and branding itself, you would think that this would be a tretinoin,
like a prescription product.
And it is really interesting to know that it is not tretinoin, it is retinol palm. And I think definitely what you said about making sure that you are not substituting your tretinoin that's working for you for this, but for people who just are trying to introduce a retinoid but haven't had much luck, that is definitely your category. If you are entertaining things like bakuchiol, that we definitely say this makes more sense. But otherwise, we still don't like retinol palm.
Yeah,
I still don't like traditional retinol palm.
This product doesn't really convince us of retinol palm. I will say there are a lot of people that you have used it and claim that this product is actually really aggressive and does cause peeling. Also, because it does come from Europe, when I was doing my homework, I noticed a lot of like conflicting information, different claims around it, concerns about potential fake products out there. All in all, I don't think I'm convinced. But yeah, let us know what your experience has been if you've tried this product before.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, thanks for doing the math, Gloria.
I'm still salty about the IU. All right.
Yeah, all right. So, and that's it for Claims Corner. We are going to wrap up the meat with the second part of our Is It a Gimmick or Not? And we're going to start off with, as we wrap up summer, which is kind of sad. First things first, SPF 100 plus. All right, 3, 2, 1. Well, okay, that's fair. Yeah, I put Gimmick, Gloria put Gimmick and legit, and I like Gloria's answer better, actually. Reason being, it's not that the science is wrong, but in a way, it's gimmicky because it's kind of a waste.
Yeah, so to give context, we talked about how SPF is on a log scale, which means SPF 100 doesn't mean it's twice as effective as SPF 50. Yeah. At SPF 50, you're blocking out roughly 98% of the UVB rays, but at 100, you're blocking out 99%. Ooh, so you get an extra percent. I put up gimmick versus legit, because exactly as Victoria said, the measurement that gives you that number, it is what it is, right? It's the same methodology that's going to get you that number.
It is correct.
The reason why it's a little gimmicky is because it implies that it is super duper extra effective.
100% shielding, which is not, you won't ever reach that.
It's super bold, like it just doesn't imply something very honest. But then on the flip side, and then to continue that trend, is people using SPF 100, it's very likely that your formula doesn't feel very good. So it's very unlikely that you're using close to the amount of sunscreen that you would use otherwise.
Yep.
That said, this is literally a topic that goes like this. There's like a little arguments on both sides. There's that famed, was it J&J that did that ski study where they gave people SPF 50. It's basically their thing of saying how like SPF 100 is totally legit, and they have found that the SPF 100 tends to do better with skiers, like they got better protection. Their argument was kind of like, oh, you know, they use it as they would, but since people always under apply, if the formula has higher protection, they're likely to get better protection, period, at the end.
It wasn't quite the case here. So yeah, we always like to remind you, like, please don't try to feel like you're wrestling with yourself to use the highest amount of SPF. Use something that you're going to wear happily every day and reapply. So you've heard that enough. Moving on. All right, next thing. Men's skincare. Is it a gimmick? All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I think it's kind of both, and we'll tell you why. It's one is, you know, is men, first of all, let's start with the simple question of, is men's skin different than women? And in some ways it is, because with testosterone and the androgens, men tend to produce a lot more oil. That's also why acne in men is a lot more common and can be a lot more severe. So with that, yes, and that's why you'll notice that, you know, with men's skincare, probably the only difference you'll see is a difference in texture. But otherwise, the actives, the topicals, the, you know, ingredients that you're using in comparison to women are all the same. Yeah.
I actually put up the legit mostly because I'm like, well, how else would I know your product is minty?
Or scrubby. Or smells like axe and pine.
I need my cedar body wash. I look for men's skincare.
So that Old Spice commercial is really for you.
Yeah.
The other thing that I really like was Ava pointed out is price point for men's skincare versus women. It's significantly different. We have to incentivize men to use better skincare with cheaper formulas. And I think that, but I think that's slowly changing.
I think so. I think I've seen a couple men's skincare brand that uses niacinamide. They talk about the retinoids. They talk about sun protection and have a more elevated price tag and more sophisticated formulas because of it. I do think the general sentiments that like they face like an education gap, but what I do like about those brands is like it's at least gender neutral and and it's good skincare that anyone that skews oily can use. So yeah,
talking about our brand.
Yeah, Mr. Reliable.
No, it's such a good point, and I think the thing we kind of wanted to point out is the question of, should you be buying for your gender? Should you, as a male, buy a men's skincare line? And that's definitely not the case. I think more often than not, most men are introduced by their partners and their wives, and that's totally fine.
I have a new slogan for us, kind of, or a new one-liner advice.
Okay.
If you want problem-solving skincare, you find us. We'll give you great advice on that department. But if you just want to try products, I would take the Marie Kondo approach here, especially with like gender-based skincare. Buy and use what brings you joy. Don't think too hard about it. It's not divided by gender so strictly on formulation side.
Exactly. This is 2022. Yeah, that doesn't matter. All right, cool. So that's it for men's skincare. Moving on. All right, next topic. Sheet masks. This one's kind of a tough one for me. All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, legit.
Yeah. But
with the right expectation.
Exactly. I think that was exactly what I was going to say is as long as you go into it with the right level of expectations, you won't be disappointed.
Yeah.
The idea is to super soak your skin, to give it that extra boost of hydration. That's about it.
Yeah. And I think people tend to, this was going to lead into the next topic, but I'm going to push them all together, is like people like to refrigerate. I love refrigerating my sheet masks. And so is temperature a factor in skincare or actually just skin health? And yeah, I guess, Gloria.
I guess we are we doing a card for temperature?
No, you want to do a card?
Okay, let's do it.
All right, ready. So for hot, cold, does temperature have an effect on skin? All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
This one I think might be surprising to some people because it always feels more ritualistic. Maybe not.
Spa-esque.
Yeah, so it feels a little bit gimmicky, like feels nice but doesn't do anything. But there are actually plenty of studies out there that show the effects of heat and cold on skin. And generally speaking, it's still not a precise science. There's a lot of like how you use it type of benefits. So with cold, it is generally speaking soothing and does make a meaningful impact on inflamed skin.
Yep.
So putting your sheet mask in the fridge is nice. It's as soothing and hydration combines into one. It's a good time.
Yep. Agreed. All right, so this is our last topic. It's going to be a few things, but this is in the world of devices.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think this one is definitely tough. So we'll see where we land. So the first thing is LED masks and microcurrent devices. I'm going to lump them together because I think they're all generally in the same realm. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah. So we both held up legit and a gimmick. Explain why, Gloria.
I feel like this whole category, I'm going to be tempted to keep holding up both signs because most of these devices are based in science and there's a lot of data on it works. But the problem is the home devices. The legitimacy vary wildly. Yeah. And it's really tough to say whether or not what you buy on Amazon or honestly even more expensive brands, are they really validated? Is it giving you the right wavelength of the light or the right amount of microcurrent? That output level, is it controlled? What happens if you forget to charge it? You know, all these things are not things you can find out very easily. So that's why, like, with these, it's like, okay, it works. But again, if it teeters into the price point of you can just go in office with a real deal, 100%. You should probably just do that.
And definitely look for more data. There are some devices that do better than others and, like, doing more studies. The issue also is, you know, with channels like Amazon, you may feel like you're getting a steal on an LED device, but those wavelengths, the strength, the time, all of that is calculated in whether or not you can get those skin effects that they're trying to tackle. So yeah, definitely tough to say. Look for more research.
And I was also going to say that I'm a firm believer in like the professional administrator matters. I had the chance to dabble in those Tria devices back in the day. They have a hair removal one and they had an anti-aging one. I've tried them both, but anti-aging one, I was really young at the time. I was in my 20s. I was like, whatever. But the hair removal one, I've done it in office. I was like, oh, it's so good. I can spot treat it with this at home thing. It is not the same. Pain just feels 20 times worse at home by yourself. And I'll get 2 spots. I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. And when it didn't really work really well, I'm like, well, to be fair, I didn't sit through there and like get every angle and it's just different than doing it in office.
I think and not just that is when people are clinically trained to professionally trained to use these devices. They can actually monitor how your skin is doing with these devices, and such as, you know, looking for signs of irritation, reactions, and we're also talking about things like microneedling as well. There are, you know, and on top of the strength, having a professional do it can probably guarantee better results than shelling out for a $500, $600 device. with probably better performance. So yeah. All right, next one. All right, so the next one is face rollers, and it sounds generic, but that can be anything from a jade roller to a massage thing, kind of thing. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah. So we both put up Gimmick, and for the most part, I tried looking for research, and I can safely say at this point, there's not a lot of data that suggests that there's any strong skin benefits to doing a face roller. But we always say that if it brings you joy, don't let us tell you not to do it.
So in Asian culture, they're obsessed with the V-shaped face. Like the tiny face is very in, has been very in. And they used to have, or I guess they still do, have this roller where it's like literally 2 rolls and there's like a handle and you can massage both sides of your cheek.
And it goes like boop,
boop, boop, boop, boop, boop, boop. And it's supposed to help you like slim down your face. And I think it's silly, but once in a while I'm watching TV, I'll be like, I just sit there with a stupid look on my face and like rolling my face with a massage tool or something.
Instant toning is definitely a hot topic.
Yeah, it's like kind of those things like, do I believe? Me. But I'll do it for funsies. Yeah. It doesn't hurt.
Exactly. It doesn't hurt. I did want to share, though, I did find one paper that actually tried to look at this. And it's really interesting. So they wanted to look at the vasodilation response to doing face rollers. And what that means is just your blood vessels underneath your skin are dilating. And they did see that after doing this 5-minute massage of face rolling.
By the way, sorry, when you're rolling your face, 5 minutes feels like an eternity.
It is a long time. I know, exactly. I was like, dang, you have to really be into whatever you're doing to just, do that. Totally agree. So 5 minutes for 5 weeks. And
wait, every day?
Every day. And so this is for 12 subjects, and they did it on one cheek to do a comparison.
So they walk out lopsided?
I don't know. So anyways, maybe. But they, I guess with this massage, they took when they measured it, they did notice there is a significant increase in that vasodilation. And they did see a difference. But the issue with it is, what does vasodilation mean in terms of benefits? I don't know. I tried looking into it. People have this theory that, when you have better increased blood circulation, that's increased flow of, better movement, better movement of, what is it? Not nutrition, but general molecules that are good for your skin to places that reach better places of your skin. So anyways, it's there's very little.
You know what I bet increases micro dilation at night? Chomping and grinding.
Consistent movement.
Maybe all along we're just going to the face gym at night. It's not bad.
As good as getting your face slapped for half an hour.
And I'm not paying anyone to do it. I grind naturally.
Yeah. So anyways, it's a gimmick at this point.
Yes.
Until science says otherwise. All right, cool. So that's face rollers. All right, we're going to end on the last one, kind of going back to the beginning of our podcast, which is guasha. Yeah, and this is in the context of, is it good for skin? All right, so 3, 2, 1. Yeah. For skin, we would say it's a gimmick, but if we want to say for general health, we'd probably tag on a legit. And reason why is because there's actually science on it. It's kind of cool.
That's actually kind of not surprising to me, but a lot of these more traditional treatments, a lot of times you can't find any big data around it. And I've always liked these like handheld massage type guasha as tools. Like there is like some really well designed ones, the way it's weighted, the way it fits in your hands, like pretty well thought out, and you can really put a lot of power into it. And I like it for my shoulder pains.
Yeah. So that's actually what we should talk about is, the data is actually not on face. It's actually for body in pain management. And so there's actually 2 studies. They're small. One of them actually was a comparison study with a heat pad for chronic neck pain. One group used guasha while the other one used a simple heat pad for 7 days. And they did find that after 1 week, pain was, it was significant improvement in pain for the guasha people in comparison to this a heat compress that we're all kind of used to hearing about. So kind of cool. Like, you don't actually hear, personally for me, I never thought that I would find a group of people that would want to study this, but they did.
And the funny thing is the study was done in Germany, of all places.
Yeah.
And I find it extra interesting because it's for pain management, but guasha when you're in pain is extra painful.
It is very painful.
So it's like you suffer to get to the destination, which is very Chinese.
Yep, it's very Chinese to think no pain, no gain.
Yeah.
So the other tiny study, test size of 11, looked at guasha and wanted to compare pain management in females versus males.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and the cool thing is that so they did the guasha procedure for 7.5 minutes, very exact.
Very specific. This is another German study. Yes, so German.
Following treatment, and found a significant increase in surface microcirculation during that entire study period, and then found it to be showed that females showed a significantly higher rate of response than males. Females react better to guasha, I guess. But the cool thing is guasha, they saw caused a 4-fold increase in microcirculation, which is significant, and it's very cool that they'd even want to measure this type of improvement with guasha. So
I just picture someone with like a countdown counter with like 450 seconds on it, and you're just watching like
the patient is literally like,
come on, 300 more seconds.
Yeah, exactly. So other than that, that is the end of our is it a gimmick or not?
Hope it was helpful. There's always a new trend that comes out. For the most part, it's all in good fun. Honestly, even the gimmicks, a lot of times, it doesn't hurt as long as for skincare, if it brings you joy, unless it's actively harmful, like homemade sunscreen, we say go for it. And yeah.
All right. That's the end of the meat. We are going to move on to
break it up. Break it up.
It's Animal Fun Fact Corner, and this time it is Gloria's turn.
Alright guys, I have bad news for everyone, which is today's Animal Corner is not exactly of the super fun, uplifting, break it up category.
Do not want.
Today we're talking about hairless animals.
What's wrong with hairless animals?
Nothing's wrong with them.
I like the naked mole rat.
Yes.
Because they ugly.
So more specifically, your not so furry friends, the Sphinx cat and hairless dogs such as American hairless terrier and the Chinese crested dog, which is quite a sight to behold.
That haircut.
Yeah. Side fun fact, I think Sphinx cat looked terrifying.
They're human cats.
Yeah, they're like
humans and cats had a baby.
They look like what Dobby is supposed to look like. Yeah. But I heard they're supposed to be very sweet cats, but they're a little terrifying to look at. But one of the, and actually all dogs, all animals could be affected by the sun, but definitely more so for hairless animals. They lack the protection from their fur, so they could be more prone to skin cancer and other skin problems caused by UV rays. Some might even just be burned. I've read that in high altitude places, those dogs, if you have say near your nose and snout where the hair is a little bit more sparse, they can absolutely get burned. So
also, I think it's very cruel to take a hairless animal to a very cold place.
Yeah.
It just seems like that's not meant to be.
Yeah, not at all. So what's interesting is this Animal Corner research led me down the rabbit hole that is pet sunscreen. Yes, I know. So the major thing, we're going to keep this short, but the major thing that I want to flag here is if you look up pet sunscreen, there are options. Now, of course, there are people that want to know if you can put human sunscreen on your animals. And a lot of advice columns you'll read online, there's a lot of blog posts, a lot of random websites that will say, yeah, just use like a baby or pediatric sunscreen for your pets. Of course, with the association that it's more gentle and better for you. But zinc is toxic to both cats and dogs. For most symptoms, if they lick it off and they eat it, there's a chance that they might throw up, get upset tummy. But of course, if your animal is smaller in size or more sensitive, it could lead to just bad news in the long run. So that's definitely something to flag because it is very common to use zinc in baby and kids formulas. So that's definitely an ingredient to avoid. Now with animals, the data isn't as robust, and obviously we're not vets, so there might be things that we're missing here. So something I want to flag is when you look for a formula, we see a lot of products out there. There are ones that have a sunscreen label very much like human sunscreen that have the active ingredients with the SPF rating.
Wait, for pets?
For pets.
Oh, okay.
I would prioritize those sunscreens. It does say something that's like comparable to human SPF value of blank, right? And then another common form that I think is definitely not very harmless is titanium dioxide sticks. So you can get their nose area or like thinner hair patches a little easier. I think those are probably the easiest and better ways to go about it. I have also seen products that position themselves as sunscreen for pets. There isn't any labelings. I saw one where it's a spray and benzophenone 4, which is a sunscreen material that isn't used super commonly in skin anymore.
No.
All the way at the bottom of the list. It doesn't have any claimed SPF value or anything like that. But it's claimed as a dog sunscreen spray. So it's murky waters out there. It's very unfortunate. And when in doubt, and I know like scary chemicals is scary for humans, it's probably even more daunting to read an ingredient label for animals because what's safe for humans doesn't necessarily translate to human stuff. So when in doubt, UPF rated clothing might be the way to go.
Yeah. Totally.
Get your dog a stylish windbreaker that has a UPF rating, or get your Sphinx cat a
Chemist confession pivot.
Yeah, actually, fun announcement.
Dog clothing, dog sunscreen, sun protective clothing.
Sunglasses for your booch.
I'm in it.
Yeah. So anyway, this fun animal corner, you got bamboozled because now it's actually a PSA corner about what not to buy for your dogs.
No, it's very helpful, and I will say, being a dog owner myself, my dog currently, we have to take her to get biopsied for a growing mole on her right side. So just when you think only humans deal with skin cancer, your loved one, your furry animals can also get skin cancer as well. So I would say, and I guess, I think Gloria and I have actually dabbled a little bit in the pet care category. You think skincare for humans in terms of regulation is wild. There's very little ruling in the pet care industry, and so it can be very overwhelming. And so we would try to say just like more straightforward, more transparent is a better way to go. We'll list a few of those notes that Gloria mentioned here, but I think ultimately if you can just stick to the good old cement paste titanium dioxide, that would be the way to go.
At least like its dog friends probably wouldn't make fun of it for the white cast. So.
No, because they're not that judgy.
Yeah, so I actually wound up saying absolutely nothing about hairless animals, but that's what compelled me to do this research. All in all, cool.
I was gonna say, when you wanted to bring up hairless pets, I've actually watched YouTube videos of Sphinx cats getting a bath. I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's like putting a baby in the...
Do they like it?
They have to get a bath.
Yeah, because they get greasy skin, right?
Yeah. So anyways, that's one of my only weird memory and YouTube Google that now you guys know of. All right,
You're welcome.
And that's it. We are going to wrap this episode up with some last Q&A. The first question is from my friend Susanna. She writes, "Hi, I was just listening to your most recent episode on sunscreen. Oh, thanks. And had a question. If you're exercising and sweaty, like you're on a long hike and need to reapply your sunscreen, would you recommend A, putting the sunscreen over your sweat, B, toweling off your skin so that it's more dry and then putting on your sunscreen, or something else? Thank you."
So, great question. Thank you for listening to our episodes. I would definitely say to towel off a little bit. The clean palette is the way to go. It helps your sunscreen make that even film again. I have a friend that I went hiking with a while ago, and she has so much more foresight than me. Brought those cleansing towelettes and like made a more thorough wipe off, so it's truly a clean palette. It doesn't even have old sunscreen residue on, and then put on and then reapply sunscreen. But if you don't have a towelette on you, then toweling off is the way to go. Yeah, and
I think in that episode you were listening to, just want to remind, we looked at one of the studies that tried to analyze sweating and that effect on sunscreen, and it's pretty significant. Although that wasn't on actual human skin, it was tested in vitro, using a substrate. So with that kind of data and understanding how difficult it is for good sunscreen film adhesion, I would say, I totally agree. Toweling off as best you can. And honestly, you do the best you can. So
yeah. And last question. This episode is kind of lengthy, so let's wrap it up. Samantha on Instagram asks, "Hey, any suggestions for a cleanser to use while yours is out of stock? Maybe one that's comparable to yours?"
Definitely not. Nothing else can compare.
So sorry about being out of stock. It, again, should be back any day now. If I were to pick a cleanser that I like outside of our own, I would say the Philosophy Purity Made Simple is pretty gentle and effective on me.
Yeah, and if you're looking for more of a gel-based cleanser, let me think about this. I believe Crave Beauty does have a gel cleanser that's pretty simple. That's one you can try to look at. And then, Philosophy is good. There's also the CeraVe Hydrating Cleanser, if you're okay with more of that hydrating film kind of finish.
Don't love it.
Gloria doesn't love it, but
it works.
It definitely works and is great for those that just don't want to deal with the general, that kind of like squeaky film, or it's just dealing with a lot more dryness than normal. But don't you worry, it's coming back in stock. Look to an announcement of the launch and end of August, although pending when this comes out. So but anyways, that's the end of the episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. Hope you guys had some fun as we go through some of these wild trends that we've heard throughout our lives. But if you have a burning question, where can they find us, Gloria?
You can find us on our website at chemistconfessions.com. Find us on Instagram at chemist.confessions. And thanks to our new marketing assistant, Alba, we are also on TickTock
at Chemist Confessions. So if you have a question that you'd like us to answer, please write to us at info@chemistconfessions.com or put your questions in the comments below. But hope you had fun, and we'll see you guys next episode. Thanks, guys. Bye.